I'm not crazy. We are allowed to be happy.
He's a good man, and he's not a cheater. He's not. We just lost our way in the marriage.
I stopped trying to make him happy. I stopped giving myself to him.
Welcome back to the modern judge. She stopped trying to make him happy. He found someone 10 years younger who would. She called it finding herself. The court called it half his pension. Gentlemen, today's case file has receipts. Let's go through it.
Tell his part of the story. What did I do to cause it? I stopped it all. I stopped giving in. I stopped trying to make him happy. I stopped putting up with the bullshit. I started calling him out on his bullshit. I only did things for all those years because he wanted to do it. I saw the people that he wanted to see because that would make him happy. I stopped giving myself to him to make sure he was in a good mood. So when I stopped doing all the things that made him happy is when he decided he was done. Because I called BS on all of it. And he decided that he was going to find somebody 10 years younger who would take care of his needs.
Listen to what she's actually describing. She stopped caring about his happiness, stopped meeting his needs, stopped being present in the marriage, and she's framing all of that as growth, as standing up for herself. Boys, when someone describes withdrawing from a relationship and calls it finding their voice, what they're really describing is the beginning of the end. She just didn't tell him that part.
To be full disclosure here, I love my husband. He's a good man. He's been a wonderful provider. We are very amicable. Okay? That's the first thing. Next thing is, 7 years ago, I told him that I wasn't in love with him anymore.
She told her husband she wasn't in love with him 7 years ago. He never recovered from that. And she spent the next 7 years watching him try to fix something she had already mentally left. That is 7 years of a man's life spent trying to win back someone who had already made her decision. He just didn't know it yet.
I loved him, but I wasn't in love with him. And honestly, that's where everything kind of went downhill. He never recovered from that. I actually thought we were kind of getting better. But he never did.
Of course, he never fully recovered. She handed him the information that the woman he built his life around had checked out, and then expected him to just move forward normally. That wound doesn't heal. It just gets managed. And eventually even managing it becomes too exhausting.
So 4 years ago, we talked about it again. A year ago, we brought it up again. But then, he said divorce is off the table. We're staying together. We're going to make this work. And I'm like, awesome. Divorce is off the table.
He drew the line, said divorce is off the table. We are building this. She said awesome, and then they didn't. Boys, when a man finally takes a stand and the woman's response is relief rather than resolution, the stand was already too late.
A lot has happened this past year since he said that. A lot with family I'm not going to go into. But we had to come together for that reason. And then we didn't. So there's just not enough time. Not enough time to fit 25 years into a 3-minute video. I told my husband I could have left years ago. I could have. I could have left years ago when I was not in love with him. Which I'm glad I didn't. Really, I'm glad I didn't. But his response was, why would you? I was floored by his response of why would I? Because he thinks I didn't leave because I needed him.
He thought she stayed because she chose him. She stayed because leaving wasn't convenient yet. Those are two completely different reasons to stay in a marriage. He was building a life. She was waiting for the right moment. And that gap between what he believed and what was actually happening is where the whole marriage quietly collapsed.
I get half your shit, bro. Half your shit. I'm sorry, I was laughing. True story, though. I mean, a wife leaves. I'm in Illinois. It's a no fault state, so I don't know where everybody else is from, but no matter what, I still get half of his stuff. I would get maintenance, pension, if so I choose, child support. My son's going to be 18 in May. I'm not getting child support for him. I'm just getting it for my 14-year-old daughter.
She smiled when she said it. That smile is the whole conversation. She knows exactly how the system works. She knew before she filed. The confidence to leave a marriage comes a lot easier when you know the exit package is already guaranteed regardless of why you're leaving.
So he's upset with me because I am choosing to take half his pension. We were married for 21 years, almost 22 years. I feel that I am entitled to his pension. I didn't work outside of the home. I sacrificed a lot to be home and raise our children, and to have a mom who was here and present every single day of their life. I'm their person, and I don't regret staying home. I don't regret giving up a retirement of my own, or 401ks or insurance of my own to be here for my kids. I chose to have kids to be here for them because I wasn't raised that way, so I chose this life, and I thought he chose it with me, but come to find out he has been resentful of me not working outside of the home.
She chose to stay home. He supported that choice for over 20 years. She's now taking half his pension because of it, and she genuinely believes this is fair. The resentment she describes in him, that's not a man who wanted a different wife. That's a man who worked his entire career, knowing someone else would take half of it the moment things got difficult.
When you're called crazy over and over and over throughout the years, you start to believe you're crazy. I'm not crazy. You are not crazy. What you feel is valid. We are allowed to be happy. We are meant to feel love like the love we give. If you don't want to do something, don't do it. If something goes against your beliefs, then don't. I can't think of the words to say. Sorry, I had to get myself together. What you're feeling is valid.
The therapist told her what she came to hear. That's not therapy. That's a paid validation session. Real therapy asks the uncomfortable questions, not just confirms the story you walked in with.
We haven't connected in such a long time, but I thought that I could make him happy if I just did the things he wanted to do. But he's such a good guy, Jen. You know, he always seems like he's in a good mood. Yeah, he does. When we're out. Well, until he puts me down in front of people. Makes some weird kind of scene to get attention. It's weird. Does things and acts a certain way in public, but that's not the same person at home. It's just...
She left a good man, filed for half his pension, and now the story is shifting. Now there are scenes in public, a different person at home, a narcissist. This is the part that always arrives after the filing. The original story, I stopped trying, gets quietly replaced with a new one that sounds better in a support group.
Bizarre on so many levels. Because you know better. You know that. Who is that? My therapist made it very clear that I wasn't the narcissist. I asked myself if I was the narcissist. A narcissist does not self-reflect. They don't look inward for the answers. So if you're asking yourself if you are the narcissist, that makes you not the narcissist.
She walked into a therapist's office with a question. The therapist gave her an answer that required no change from her whatsoever. She left feeling cleared. That is the most convenient diagnosis in the history of modern relationships. Boys, anybody can ask themselves if they're the narcissist. The question is whether they do anything differently after the answer.
They don't think like we do. But remember, we all have narcissistic traits, and that's where things get confusing. But if you're self-reflecting and you're like, if I'm the narcissist, I need to change. Sweetheart, you're not the narcissist. And I'm just finding this out now because I thought I was. If you're struggling with these feelings, go talk to somebody. Join a support group. People have the same stories. And they're going to verify. They're going to make you see yourself in a different light. It's amazing. Go find your peace. You deserve it. We deserve it.
She stopped trying to make him happy, withdrew from the marriage, filed for half his pension, and now she's being told she deserves peace. He worked for 20-plus years. He deserved his pension. Nobody in that support group mentioned that part. She said herself in the first 30 seconds. He was a good man. He didn't cheat. He didn't leave. She stopped showing up, and when he finally found someone who would show up, she fell apart, then filed for half his pension, then found a therapist who told her she's not the problem. The modern judge has reviewed every document in this case. The verdict was always in that first 30 seconds. She told you everything you needed to know before the video even started. See you in the next one.